Hi, David again for ConcertBlogger.com. Today I'm here with Boyfriend, rapper from New Orleans. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm spectacular. I've done a lot of interviews, and I have to say, coming into this, I wasn't sure exactly what you were going to be like. You have the anti-everything that is. You break every stereotype that there is about rap music, I think, and that's a pretty awesome thing. So you seem very nice. So far, you seem very nice.
I can be nice. Well, I'm flattered. I certainly would like to think I'm breaking some stereotypes, as we all are if you get to know us. Mm-hmm. But yeah, of course I'm nice. You're not trying to take my microphone.
There you go. There you go. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I guess you're originally from Memphis, is it?
Nashville.
Nashville, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And but you live in New Orleans now. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I was born and raised in Nashville. Actually, my very first job was on Music Row, doing that country music business hustle. My whole family is in that scene, and that's definitely the world I was brought up in, which is ironic. And I kind of fled that, left the country music behind me and went to Los Angeles for college and became like the white collar sheep of the family. Everyone else was like writing songs and working in the industry, and I was sending emails and making phone calls and working in production. And, I was just not the artist one. And then I moved down to New Orleans because I needed a break from LA, and I guess like the magic vibes and whiskey certainly had something to do with it. I just kind of stumbled into freestyling at parties with my friends and realized like I kind of had a natural knack for it. And Boyfriend just burst forth out of me. I think that creativity had been kind of brewing under the surface during my years of like admin jobs, and it was needing to come out, and New Orleans was just the place.
New Orleans
it's an easy
definitely
place to do things.
Exactly, there's a vibe there that there is like no other in the world.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a place to have that happen, to have a rebirth, so to speak.
For sure.
What was your first? My biggest question is: you're a teacher by day and a rapper by night. What's the story with that? How does that work in your life?
I'm very lucky to work with artistic, open-minded people. A lot of that has to do with just being in New Orleans itself. It's that type of a city. It's, the cult of personality is huge there, and it's a character-based town. So people are way more forgiving of what you do in your after hours. I mean, you might have a business meeting and actually have a drink at lunch, and it's not this huge faux pas. Like just the city in general is very forgiving, so that helps. And then I keep very firm boundaries. None of my students know that I rap.
Yeah, that was my next question is, how much do they?
It's not worth it. I mean, kids know how to Google, and I don't want them to have a confused notion of who I am as their teacher because they know of who I am on the internet.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's tough because I think it's important for kids to learn things like duality and spaces of appropriateness, like how it's okay for me to say some of the things that I say, but it's not okay for them to say those things. But Boyfriend is not the avenue for teaching those things. First of all, that's their parents' job.
Yeah, absolutely, without a question.
Like, I just, I'm going to see if they can add fractions before seeing if they can grasp irony and commentary and
everything a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, and all that. So it's I'm lucky, but it's also a delicate balance. I'm certainly on that tightrope of.
So your employers know that this is your alter ego, and okay, that's a good thing because you are getting to have a higher profile, and I know in some the first thing I thought when you said New Orleans and more open down, I was like, of course that's how New Orleans is, but the first thing I thought was the South, and in the Bible Belt and stuff, and you definitely would have a problem with doing this in a place of that nature. How do you see yourself going forward, and what if you blow up, and let's hope that you blow up. Exactly. Where do you see yourself going with that?
Well, the heartbreak of losing that role would hopefully be somewhat offset by the idea that if I do blow up, I won't be needing that job anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a
So, like, as much as it would
chicken to the egg thing.
Heart, yeah, hopefully it wouldn't be breaking my pockets.
Exactly.
And I have a firm belief that there will always be a place for me in education. There will always be people willing to work for not enough pay, for a really like emotionally exhausting job. And I love my students that I've been working with because I know each one of them personally. But I know that there will always be groups of kids to fall in love with. And so, if I take a little 10-year break to be boyfriend full time, then hopefully I can go back to it. It would be sad, but that is the goal right now. I just hope it doesn't come out in some dramatic way.
Yeah,
sometimes I have nightmares of my like I come in and my students are like, boyfriend69.com. No! So we'll see.
Well, I guess you cross each bridge as you come to it, right?
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
You seem to have your feet under you. Now, getting to the idea of your boyfriend and that you have some very hypersexualized lyrics, and you're very open. And how did you come to do that? Is that just who you are? Is that how is that your persona?
It's definitely part of who I am. I mean, anything I'm writing about, it's in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Nashville, Bible Belt, as we were talking about before, and it was a very sexually repressive environment for me. My parents themselves didn't contribute to that, but the institutions that I was a part of. I went to a private Christian school, and I went to church, and remember these very specific moments of being taught that masturbation was wrong. We were taught it was self-hurt. We really had a textbook. It's called "And the Bride Wore White." There's a plug that refers to masturbation as self-hurt, and all these tips like sleep with the light on, leave the door open. You're supposed to have this purity ceremony at the end of the 6-week curriculum where they separate the guys and the girls. And I've looked like this since I was in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
First day of 5th grade, I started my period, got my boobies. Everybody else is listening to NSYNC, and I'm listening to Joni Mitchell with a C cup. So I was always kind of struggling with whoa, this is my body, and it feels good when I touch myself, but now I'm going to hell? It's such a confusing thing for me that now that I'm an adult and I've figured out my notion of wrong and right, those messages just were I need to get those out there. For one thing, I think it's funny, and I think that humor can be a way for people to accept things. They might laugh at something that they're scared of, and then afterwards when they're done laughing, they realize they're not as scared anymore.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping that it's breaking the ice a little bit on some of those conversations.
Cool. My wife admires and is jealous of you, as she put it, and of people who say what they want. She thinks that if you don't, then you're kind of watering yourself down. Is that how you see yourself? That you just want to be able to say what you want to say?
For sure. I mean, in this day and age, when I have people treating their lunch at me and letting me know how their bowels are doing. It's just everyone is letting everyone know everything constantly. Why should I edit myself just because it's kind of a fancy production or there's a beat underneath it? No one's really editing themselves anymore. Everyone's constantly updating the World Wide Web of what their status is at all times. I think that sometimes just because I'm referring to myself as an artist, people are well, then I'm allowed to edit what you're saying, and what you're saying is wrong, and what you're saying is offensive. Well, it's well, look at any Joe anybody, and look at his Twitter feed. Maybe you should get mad at him. Just because I haven't put mine on this platform doesn't mean I should edit it. I think that the internet is this great way for everybody to just say what's on their mind, and hopefully it's something you can back up and that you're convicted by, and you're not just speaking on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that that's the real beauty of the internet, is it's allowing all of us to be in conversation with each other. And
yeah, exactly.
About substantial
important things.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that you get a tweet or a fan in some far off place that you never think would have heard of you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've shipped a boyfriend69.com t-shirt to Finland.
Really?
Which was really cool. I'm still waiting for that selfie, by the way. Finland fan. And I mean, my very first video that kind of like hit it big and like got 10,000 views like overnight was Hunch and Munch, and it was via this Romanian blog. And I translated the text underneath it, and it was like, if you don't know English, go learn it and then watch this video.
Really? Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Which was really neat to think like, wow, like there's people out there that found me. I mean,
Record coming out. Tell us about that.
well, it's called Love Your Boyfriend, and it's an album of love songs, because I have not veered into that category yet. I've certainly rapped about lust, but not love. And the album is greatly informed by music that I was listening to, and all of these messages about love that we just so passively consume every day. You might be waiting in line at the bank and you're hearing someone sing about how they will die if it isn't their lover who's calling them on the phone. In fact, Vicky Carr's It Must Be Him, which is just that. I mean, she's saying, it must be him or I shall die.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to that record over and over again and thinking, man, the 60s were fucked up. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's not any different. It's still these messages of women needing a man and needing instead of loving, which is a distinction, you know, like people define love beautifully in scripture or on their wall or on a throw pillow, like appliquing it, but they don't actually live it that way. And at least that hasn't been my experience. In my experiences, people mean that they own you or that they owe you or that you are obligated to them or you're beholden to them, when in fact love should be like the most free.
Of course.
So I'm kind of joining in that conversation with this album a little bit. Boyfriends talking about love that everyone else is always talking about. It's our turn.
Cool. Awesome. So with the new album, are there any touring plans? Do you have any dates coming up?
Specific dates are left behind the smoke and mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
the cloak and dagger, but I'll definitely be making my way around.
Absolutely. Okay, great. I think you're going to break this question on me. I always ask all my interviewees, and I can't imagine what this answer is going to be, but tell us something about yourself that your average fan that knows you on a pretty regular basis wouldn't really know about you. But I can't imagine that there would be anything. How about do you have a pet, or do you have a hobby, or something that is completely different than
I'll get real with you, because you're the first person that's ever asked me that. I am terrified of skin diseases.
Terrified of specifically skin diseases?
It's a debilitating fear. I can't handle it. And
Such as what? Such as like...
Anything. Any like skin stuff, I can't handle.
Do you find yourself washing your hands often?
No, my
Things like
face,
that?
yeah. I struggled with acne, like, 5th grade, C cup, Joni Mitchell girl. I was also having major acne problems as a 5th grader, and was going to great lengths to try and solve it. And I one time brought home a bucket of mud from like the Gulf Coast and the marshlands, which is really rich. It's like nutrient, it's good for your skin. I brought home a bucket to Nashville, put it all over. I had chest knee and back knee as well. I was just completely caked in this mud. Like, please, son, draw out my acne. And I felt these little tickles, little itches. And I went to the bathroom, and there are baby fiddler crabs, like larvae, all over me.
No!
Just one by one, waking up.
Oh no!
And I went into like a blind rage fear thing. Like, I remember my mom found me at some point and like hosed me off, because I already had skin issues
no.
up to that point, but that was like, there goes 40 years of therapy, right? Like,
Yeah, that's a lot of money coming up.
So that's people don't know that. Now they do.
I don't like snakes. I had an issue when I was a child with snakes. When, just picking up a tarp and there was a snake under it, and that was it. And now, to this day, just takes that one childhood trauma that lives with you forever.
Yep.
And there you
Watch
go.
out, don't look too closely at some of my Instagram pictures.
Oh yeah, I did notice that a little bit. My wife on her laptop, when she opens up the laptop, she's got a picture of a snake there.
Oh, cool.
Why are you doing this to me? But
Cool.
for her own growth area. All right, well, thank you so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time.
Indeed.
And we really look forward to the new album coming out very soon. And we will see you out there on the road.